Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are enjoying your Friday, getting ready to start our weekend. And we're going to be looking at your big Arctic dip that could be impacting parts of the northern plains and then stretching into the Rockies and even parts of the central part of the country. So, we're going to be talking about that. Some temperatures, actual Fahrenheit temperatures, not feels like temperatures, could be below negative 10 degrees. And think about it, it's only December. So, think about what this could bring for if this was maybe in January or February. It could have been maybe negative 30 or negative 40 degrees in some areas. So this could be a very impactful Arctic outbreak. We're going to be timing it out for you, and then we're also going to be looking at some of my forecasts and some graphics I made and kind of showing what I'm thinking as far as temperatures are concerned. And then also we're going to be kind of showing some forecasts for individual cities that'll be the hardest hit by this system. We're going to start off here with the National Weather Service, and we have winter weather advisories in these purples, and that's for parts of Montana into Idaho and then into Oregon and a little bit of Northern California, as well just this tiny pocket of the intersection of Vermont, upstate New York, and Massachusetts, that kind of little intersection area. That's where you have some winter weather advisories as well. You have some winter storm watches in effect for parts of winter storm warnings in effect, I mean, for parts of the Sierra, then into some flash flood watches, flash flood warnings, all that over parts of Northern California, and then we have some winter storm watches here for Wyoming. Now, we're going to look at what the National Weather Service is showing as far as snowfall is concerned, and you're going to see over the Midwest generally about a 1 to 5 inch snow event. Some areas could pick up 6 inches of snow. We're not going to be talking about that today. It's just going to be a quick clipper system and nothing really too impactful, and especially it's over these areas that are used to this, and 1 or 2 inches of snowfall won't really impact them too much. Then also over the Rockies, potentially an inch to 6 inches. Higher elevations, closer to 6 to 12 inches. And then over the Sierras, potentially close to 36 inches, 3 feet of snowfall. And over the Northeast, some system that's moving in right now could bring in a good 1 to 3 inches. And then some areas picking up 3 to 6 inches. And I had a little bit of a forecast on that 2 videos ago on my channel, so you can go check that out. I didn't have my snowfall forecast. It was still uncertain at the time. So this isn't really a big system. That's why I'm not making a snowfall forecast on it. But I will make a snowfall forecast on almost all of the big major snowstorms that get named. So stay tuned to the channel for that. So make sure you get subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss when I upload. Now, here is what they're showing for low temperatures on Saturday. So in the blues, that's like 20 to 30 degrees, and then in the darker blues, 10 to 20 degrees, and then in the purple, 0 to 10 degrees, and if you're in the pinks, that's about below 0. So you're seeing for Saturday, you're gonna see a good 20 degrees over the central and eastern part of the country, into the northeast, into the Great Lakes, and then into the Midwest. Now, here for Sunday, you're seeing your low temperatures going to be colder over the northeast as that system moves through. It's going to bring colder temperatures to the northeast, kind of warming up over parts near Chicago into Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, and then cold back again for parts of the northern plains. Now, here for first Monday's low temperatures, that's going to be for Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. Some areas seeing negative numbers here, -9. Some areas approaching -10 over the northern portions of Minnesota and northern portions of North Dakota. And then here, as we get into your Tuesday, your low temperatures could be in negative double digits over some of these areas, and that's going to be very, very dangerous. And we're going to show you your wind chill temperatures over in the European model, which has been fairly consistent showing this event and still has most of these models, so very high confidence that this event will occur. Now, finally, here's for Wednesday. Here's the farthest that they go out, and this is going to be really the deepest part of the cold, and that's going to be right around negative 20 degrees in some areas over South Dakota, Minnesota, and North Dakota, and even into Wisconsin and the northern peninsula of Michigan. Now, Here is the temperature anomaly forecast as far as what the GEFS is showing. So the GEFS is a mixture of a ton of models, about 20 models, I believe, that kind of group together, and they kind of show the average of what is on this map is really the average of all of them. So you're seeing cold air is going to kind of be in these areas over the northeast and then into the northern plains. See, it's really bottling up there. And this is for Sunday morning, but really nothing too substantial, except for the northeast could be seeing some pretty substantial cold. Now, your cold air starts to enter by Monday morning, and then by Monday afternoon, colder temperatures near Minneapolis, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, parts of northwest Wisconsin. Pretty cold temperatures compared to your average. And then the biggest shot of cold air, this is for Wednesday, December 11th, and this would be for Wednesday morning. So you see, this is in Celsius, so 20 degrees below average Celsius, closer to 30 or 40 degrees below average in Fahrenheit. And then it's going to kind of stay all the way until about Friday, and then it starts to weaken. And most of the country, most of the eastern part of the country, would be in below average. And like I said in the October forecast, this is most likely gonna switch and kind of flip over. Let me use a bigger pen size, so kind of switch over to the western side, side of the country. But I think the northern part of the U.S. still gonna stay fairly cold, kind of gonna dodge most of this warm air for the month of December. Now here is your Canadian model as far as what it's showing for your temperatures. So it's gonna kind of cool down a little bit as you start to get into your Sunday. Again, pretty much the same thing. Getting into Monday, now the GEM model has it a bit earlier into Tuesday with the heart of the cold air, another reassuring blast of cold air by Wednesday morning, and then a third one by Thursday night. So you kind of see kind of refuels for the first one, then the second wave. So this is the first wave right here, according to the GEM model or the Canadian model. Then the second reassuring shot, the third reassuring shot, and then it moves to the east. And for parts of the east, you could be seeing your coldest day probably around Friday, and then it kind of tapers off a little bit, and more warm air starts to build in. As you can see, the GEM model only goes out 240 hours, and you see the warm is starting to build, but later in the month it's really gonna define itself over the eastern part of the U.S. Now here is the European model, and here are the low temperatures for all the days. So here is Saturday, and you're seeing generally 20 to 10 degrees, so nothing crazy cold at this point. But now as you're getting into your Sunday, the northern plains really warms back up for the Midwest and the Great Lakes, but then for the northern plains you're seeing temperatures closer to 0 to 10 degrees, and then over the northeast potentially some areas below 0 here, and closer to the coast still right around 10 to 20 degrees for your low temperature, and a lot varies in the teens. Now here for Monday morning, and all these temperatures are in the morning, right around 6 a.m. Eastern time, 5 a.m. Central time, and so on and so forth. But usually the coldest time of the day is in the morning, right before the sun kind of rises. So that's because you have the least amount of time exposed to the sunlight. So of course it's going to get colder overnight. So here you're seeing in this kind of blue-gray shade, I really don't know how to describe it. That's your 0 degree mark. It's very defined here. So your zero degree mark for your low temperature is starting to creep its way into northwest Minnesota, most of North Dakota at this point, and then into northern parts of Montana. Now, here kind of captures most of the state of Minnesota, almost all of the state of North Dakota, northern portions of Wisconsin and South Dakota, and eastern parts of Montana, all seeing below 0 temperatures for when you wake up on Tuesday. Now here's for Wednesday, the heart of the cold, and you could see temperatures closer to 20 to 30 degrees, not below average, just Fahrenheit temperatures, 20 to 30 degrees below 0, and this is going to be very dangerous cold air over North Dakota and northern Minnesota. And really, if you're below 0, you have to be bundling up, and really have to be taking your precautions. And we're going to show you the wind chill temperatures. Some areas closer to negative 40 to negative 45 degrees with your wind chill temperatures. So very, very cold air here. Here, as we get into your Thursday, weakens a little bit, still very cold, negative 0 to negative 10 degrees, and some areas closer to negative 20, and then it really retreats. Now the Northeast is left with the colder air, and right around 10 to 20 degrees. Some areas closer to 0 degrees. Now here are your wind chill temperatures, and you're gonna see. The cold air starts to arrive by Sunday morning, according to the European model. And then look at this around the Minneapolis area, right around negative 10 degrees. Northern portions of Minnesota, closer to negative 30 degrees, below zero. And that's going to be your wind chill. So that's for Tuesday morning. And it's going to only get colder. Negative 30, some areas closer to negative 50 degrees over northern parts of Minnesota. And it kind of weakens a little bit. Still negative 20 over northern Minnesota. Negative 30, one reading over northern Wisconsin. And then it kind of retreats and really exits into Canada, but you still see that cold air just north of the U.S. border. So if that kind of moves south just a little bit, and it's really ready to come down into the U.S. So in just a little bit, maybe another week or so, we could have another Arctic dip for these areas, but we'll have to see. That's a bit too far out in time for us to forecast. Now, here is your temperature anomalies from the European model, and you're going to see warm air starts to kind of overtake, but then cold air right behind it. You see where this originates. This is originating over northwest Canada, and it's moving down. This is very cold Arctic air, almost an Arctic outbreak here, or a polar vortex. Negative 20, negative 30 degrees in some areas, and below your average. So 30 degrees below your average in some areas, and then it kind of reloads again. Here's your second reassuring shot of cold air by Wednesday night into Thursday, and then it exits still below average, and then warm air is gonna kind of overtake most of the U.S. by this point. And then you see that next shot of cold air, but that one's a bit less certain than than the other shots of cold air that we had. So now we're gonna get into my forecast here, and so here you go. Here's my temperature forecast. I only made one of these maps. They do take quite a while to make, and I did want to get out a video to you guys. So I'll be making another one of these probably tomorrow, and that will be for Monday morning. So I skipped Saturday morning. I know some people actually watch this the day after, so it wouldn't really make sense for me to make it on Saturday. So here's your Sunday morning low temperatures, and very colorful map, and there's a lot of blue and purple on this map, and even reds indicating below zero. That's just because it's going to be very cold over these areas. So we'll start off with the lowest or with the highest temperatures. So 50 to 60 degrees over California and southwest Arizona, and then also for the Gulf of Mexico. 40 to 50 degrees in this blue, this light blue, and then that's for the Gulf Coast into the southeast, the coastal southeast, and then 40 to 50 also kind of surrounding that 50 to 60, and then also another one for the coastal Pacific Northwest. 30 to 40 over a good portion of the country, the coastal parts of North Carolina and Virginia near Virginia Beach, and then all the way throughout the central part of the country, and then into the Rockies, 30 to 40 degrees for your low temperature, and then also for the Northwest, some of the Rockies up there. Now, you're seeing 20 to 30, especially in for the east of the Sierras, into parts of northern Nevada, and then into Utah, into Colorado, northern New Mexico, and then up through the Midwest, and then into the Northeast. 20 to 30 degrees for your low temperatures, or your Sunday morning temperatures. 10 to 20 degrees for Colorado, and then into Wyoming, and then also for the northern part of North Dakota, northern Minnesota, northern Montana. Sunday is really going to be just the beginning of this cold air, 10 to 20 degrees, and that 10 to 20 degrees could kind of stretch all the way this far south, or even this far south, depending on how cold and how expansive this cold air is going to be from this Arctic outbreak, you could say. Now, we also have another pocket of 10 to 20 over the northeast, so for parts closer to the Great Lakes, and then also for the coastal northeast, 10 to 20 degrees, and then 0 to 10 degrees. So 10 degrees to 0 degrees over parts of Maine into northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont, northern parts of upstate New York, and then also for southern New Hampshire, western parts of Massachusetts into northwest Connecticut and the Hudson Valley, and then below 0 here in this reddish color, the kind of maroon color, and that's going to be where you could be in the negatives over some of these areas, and this is going to be really dotted across, so I couldn't really pinpoint the exact area, but generally you're going to either be within 5 degrees of 0 in any of these areas, some areas closer to -10 over the interior and northeast. Now, we're just going to look at one city, and it's the 7-day forecast. We're going to look at Minneapolis. So here's your 7-day forecast for Minneapolis, and you kind of see it's going to be a very cold start. You're really not going to get out of, you're not going to be above freezing from Monday all the way stretching into Thursday, and then Friday you'll be 1 degree above freezing. So very cold over here. So for your Saturday, 37 degrees as your high, very cold still, 31 as your low, 34 for your high on Sunday, 31 for your low. Now the cold Arctic air is going to start infiltrating by Monday. That Clipper system is going to move by 1 to 3 inches of snow. Your high temperature is going to drop to 25. Low temperature reaching the negatives, -2 here. Now for Tuesday, your high temperature is going to be 4 degrees, only 4 degrees in the single digits, -15 for your low. Wednesday kind of rebounds a little bit with your low temperature, but your high temperature is below 0, -2 degrees for your high, and then low temperatures -10, 19 degrees for your high on Thursday, 12 for your low, and then that kind of Arctic outbreak starts to move out, 33, and very average. I believe your average in Minnesota is, or Minneapolis is 16 for your low this time of year. So right at your average there for Friday. Also, the potential for some snowfall as another Clipper system kind of just misses you, so you'll only get under an inch from that as predicted right now, but you could definitely get more than that as we kind of continue with our forecast, and I'll definitely be making some videos on these Clipper systems. Anyways, if you did enjoy this video, it took a lot of time making these graphics. The graphics took about 2 hours, especially that one with the temperature forecast. Definitely took a lot of time kind of comparing models and then also just inputting my forecast and drawing it all out. So it would really support the channel if you did like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video when I upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.